Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Alaska Weather on this 27th day of August 2017. Satellite imagery showing starting out up north, a upper level low dropping southward with some cooler air, bringing a lot of clouds and moisture into the Arctic coast and across the north slope into the Brooks Range area. Temperatures this afternoon mid to upper 30s, so some areas getting rain mixed with snow, but really not much in the way of any accumulations except for possibly the higher portions of the Brooks Range. Otherwise, a kind of a cloudy, showery day here over the southwest interior with an upper level low here out over the eastern Bering Sea. Roll this again, you can see the counterclockwise motion with that, and that sending this, what was this front, you can see remnants right through here kind of split in two, this one hanging back to the west, and then this portion splitting off and heading to the southeast there on the south side of the upper low there over the Bering Sea. And you can see that going again, some colder air coming down, or cooler air from the Bering Strait there into the northern Bering. And we've got a lot of moisture flowing northward here. Another system off the chart there that's going to combine with this one here. A weak low developed there just south of the eastern Aleutians. Those two will combine and tomorrow roll up and bring some strong winds and increasing rain across the Gulf of Alaska, and we'll be hitting Kodiak Island first tomorrow afternoon. Otherwise, across the southeast coast, not a bad day there today. This batch of moisture pushing off into British Columbia. Look like some breaks down there over Ketchikan and the Metlakatla area, but more clouds up here to the north. A few scattered showers here along the North Gulf Coast. And cloudy skies in the Copper River Basin, northward across the upper Yukon Valley to the Arctic coast. Had some clearing here in Cook Inlet today. And narrow band of showers right through there from the western Gulf of Alaska in across the Barren Islands. That lifted northward of Kodiak, and they started clearing out there, especially on the east side and down to the south during the afternoon hours. And on the chart today, there's that very weak trough there with the showers coming northward there, and showers moving into Kachemak Bay and on back toward northeast Bristol Bay. Another trough had showers scattered along it here from the southwest coast around Kuskokwim Bay, northeastward there along the Kuskokwim and Yukon River valleys up into the central interior. Scattered showers eastward there to the 1006 millibar low, just east of the border, east of Eagle, and then the area of rain and snow falling today up there for the Brooks Range on out to the Arctic coast. Amount's not all that heavy. A couple of locations had about 1/10 of an inch in the 12-hour period ending at 4 p.m. this afternoon. Otherwise, just a few hundredths of an inch being measured. And then there was moderate showers here along the eastern North Gulf Coast, and then those again lightened up and ended down over the southern Panhandle, and also diminished back to the west there along the North Gulf Coast and then the coastal mountains in toward Prince William Sound. And so we had a nice day here over south central Alaska. Out to the west, up in the northwest, high pressure there over the northwest Bering Sea, and that links up with that one up over the Arctic. And so northeast flow coming around that, bringing the cooler air in, and then the upper level low dropping southward, creating this widespread area of precipitation today. And offshore flow, you can see it clearing out there on the south side of the Seward Peninsula area. But areas of low clouds and fog here from the Chukchi Sea southward into the Bering with that light wind pattern. And then the warm front here with that next system down to the south, it's going to combine with this one that's moving east-southeast. And we'll see tonight That one lifts northward here. This one continues to pull off to the east and actually will merge up and become one center that pulls northward tomorrow. Otherwise, out in advance of that, narrow area high pressure here across the Queen Charlotte Islands up into western Canada. And that should make for a mostly dry evening here and overnight period for the central and southern panhandle, although some lingering showers will occur or continue up around the Lynn Canal and Glacier Bay area, back along the North Gulf Coast. Chance of showers remains tonight. Still have that weak southeasterly flow, but a break in advance of this system here from Kodiak. So it'll be dry tonight, fair, maybe some clearing there. And then late tonight, some moisture may try to sneak in to the southern coastal areas, mostly around Port Alexander, the way it looks now. But that will be more, a little bit more tomorrow. And then anyway, the bulk of the moisture is going to head toward Kodiak to begin with, along with the stronger winds. Otherwise, we still have this trough here from about Nunivak Island northeastward into the Yukon Flats. So showers pretty numerous up here, or more scattered up in the northeast portion of that, and less scattered back to the southeast, or actually more isolated. Look for some clearing. Again, high northeast winds, offshore flow should be pretty good conditions here along the northwest coast, Kotzebue Sound, Selawik Valley, Seward Peninsula again. Even St. Lawrence Island could see some clearing. There will be some patchy areas of fog in there as well. Chance of rain and snow continues for the Brooks Range on out to mainly the eastern Arctic coast now. And back to the west, not much going on out there. That low center lifting north toward the Komodorskis. Remnants of that front right through here, just maybe a little bit of light rain and fog continuing there, keeping it unsettled for the Adak and Atka area. Could see a little moisture around Unalaska, but nothing significant. And showers chances continue there for king salmon west to about across Dillingham to Togiak. And then for tomorrow, you can see that low that came from the eastern Aleutians, that actually weakens, troughs out, gets absorbed into the main low center right through there, and the original one comes northward, and that deepens to about 985 millibars. And you can see quite a tight gradient here in advance of the frontal boundary there. So we've got storm force winds out through this area and bringing the wind forecast up to 45 knots out of the northeast there along the east side of Kodiak Island, with gales spreading northward to the North Gulf Coast tomorrow. Look for a little bit better chance of some light rain there over the northern southeast coast, mainly along the coast, just sprinkles, inland areas. Staying fair down to the south there, very narrow ridge of high pressure right through here, centered down near the Queen Charlottes. And of course that flow south-southeast, that's going to take the moisture initially northward and then pull it back to the east in toward Kodiak. So that's where the heaviest rain, heaviest wind will be tomorrow. And then eventually that's going to shift on up to the North Gulf Coast. Otherwise, for tomorrow, look for partly sunny, risk of a few showers here across the mountainous terrain of south central Alaska. Dry over the eastern interior. Partly sunny, Copper River Basin, up across 40 Mile Country, Tanana Valley. And then this trough through here, keeping it wet. Occasional rain, light rain, over the Koyukuk Valley, mixed with snow in the Brooks Range. Northward, just some spotty areas out along the eastern Arctic coast. High pressure holding there northwest of Barrow. And that northeast flow, light, but should keep it pretty nice there along the northwest coast. Again, the Seward Peninsula, dry, partly sunny. Unalakleet, St. Michael, maybe into the Yukon Delta. Very nice conditions out over the Bering Sea with areas of clouds, patchy fog, but winds will be light, and that'll extend right on down into the Nikolsky area. Still got some showers going on here over the Bristol Bay area, mostly to the west, down across the Alaska Peninsula, but nothing too big. And then the next system out there to the west, spreading rain eastward to about Atka tomorrow afternoon, but not a lot of wind associated with that system. It's all going to be out here coming up to the Gulf of Alaska. And at this point in time, looks like that low on Monday. Actually, Monday night, we've got storm warnings out for the western North Gulf Coast areas, or for the Barren Islands, I believe, and back up to the northeast there, going to Tuesday. There we go. That low center pulls back to Kodiak Island, and continue quite windy conditions right over the island with the low center passing over. It'll be less wind, but the winds stay pretty brisk here around the center even into Tuesday, and that front slows its eastward progression with that low center pulling back to the northwest there. So looks like most of the rain staying off the southeast coast through most of the day on Tuesday. Could see some partly sunny skies, and then a lot of moisture coming northward, so some pretty good shot of probably see some heavy rain along the southern coast of the Kenai Peninsula into Prince William Sound, west side, and then eastward, maybe as far east as Yakutat here, tapering off in toward Elfin Cove. But Cordova probably could see more rain on Tuesday than Yakutat will receive, with a lot of moisture surging northward there, that warm front jumping the Alaska Range right into the Tanana Valley. Back out to the west, gustier winds here, northeast. Pretty good tightening the gradient there. Could see maybe gusts of 30 miles an hour, but sunshine could accompany that as well with the dry conditions, picking up some clouds and then also some moisture. Shower chances on the Bering Sea side of the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula area. Otherwise dry for the central Aleutians, and high pressure now centered way out there by Kamchatka. No storms out there at all. And cold front drops southeastward or south-southeast. A weak cold front, narrow band of rain, probably won't even be continuous along the frontal boundary there, but that's where the chances will be greatest. And not any big push of cold air coming in behind it, but it'll keep it cool enough for a mixture of precipitation up there for the central eastern north slope areas on over to Kaktovik, Barter Island, and those locations. And then it looks like this front by probably Monday evening, mid-Monday evening, rain will make landfall across the southeast coast, and then it'll gradually shift eastward the following day, Wednesday, in across the air. So it looks pretty wet for Wednesday for the Panhandle. And temperatures down that way today, upper 50s to lower 60s, 60 degrees down in Klawock, 61 up at Skagway. Everyone else somewhere in between with 59 at Wrangell, 57 there at Elfin Cove, cooler 53 at Yakutat, 52 Cordova, 56 Seward with 57 at Kodiak, and a 62-degree rating at Kenai. Warm spot in the state today, Anchorage International Airport with 66 degrees. Otherwise back down to 60 at Talkeetna, 54 Gulkana, lower to mid-50s Tanana Valley, but the greater Fairbanks area up to 58, and 52 at Eagle, 54 Fort Yukon, and then falling back into the 40s there at Bettles with 45, 34 Anatuvik, mid-30s there, Central Arctic Coast, still in the lower 40s on the east side, and then back into the 40s here as you get over toward Cape Lisburne, lower to mid-50s, Kotzebue Sound, Kotzebue right at 50, but Deering at 54, Ambler 48 degrees, 59 farther south there at McGrath, and then near 60 until you get down to Bethel, back into the mid-50s, 44 at Savunga. And heading out to the Bering Sea, nothing really unusual, 48 degrees at St. Paul, otherwise everyone else in the 50s from Adak all the way up in across Bristol Bay. And for the lows tonight, lower 30s here along the Arctic coast, locally the North Slope, upper 20s there, Brooks Range, higher elevations like Anatuvik, so that's above about 2,000 feet. And for the upper Yukon Valley, mid-40s there, mid to upper 40s all the way back to the southwest coast, Alaska Peninsula. Upper 40s, lower 50s, south central Alaska. Same thing for the Panhandle. Highs tomorrow, lower 60s showing up here over the southwest interior. And looks like back into the lower to mid 60s, Cook Inlet, Kenai Peninsula on up into the Susitna Valley, the calm before the storm. Mid 50s, a lot of wind and rain rolling into Kodiak. Lower 60s, southern southeast coast. Otherwise, everyone else in the 50s. Flying weather, IFR to be sure here across the Brooks Range, some of that spilling south into the northern Koyukuk Valley, extending back to the eastern Arctic coast. Prince William Sound, east side of the Kenai Peninsula, and hanging on early there up over the northern Panhandle, but becoming VFR, and then a bunch of IFR way out to the west there from Atka to Shimia. And then that doesn't really make much progress, hangs back out that way, marginal VFR to the Pribilofs. Otherwise, good VFR, offshore flow, keeping it nice along the coast, Alaska Peninsula. IFR in the increase coming northward here, going to plow right on into the North Gulf Coast and Prince William Sound, Kenai Peninsula Monday evening, and take a little longer to get into the Panhandle. So looking at Anatuvik, marginal. Adigan, though, should stay IFR. through the day. Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR. Rainy starting out. Marshall becoming VFR. Windy, nice. Isabel, open. Mintasta, VFR. Tenita as well. Portage, IFR becoming marginal. And Chilcoot and White, marginal VFR. Freezing levels. Cold air getting that upper low, bringing the cooler air southward there, 2,000 feet. Other upper low here starting to move out, 4,000 feet there near the Alaska Peninsula, and then 6,000 to 10,000 feet across the Panhandle. Icing, a lot of moisture surging northward into Kodiak Island, and then this whole thing lifting up afternoon to the North Gulf Coast, Kenai Peninsula, spreading in across the northern Panhandle. Another area of icing possibilities up over the north and northeast, north slope areas, and just a risk out here over the central Aleutians. Upper level wind flow chart. Here's the upper low with that next big storm coming northward, 140 knot west northwesterly jet there in the southwest quadrant. And then higher pressure over the Panhandle. Another low there in the Bristol Bay area and the one up over the north slope. Winds pretty strong here, 9,000 feet. Strongest winds off the coast out in the Gulf of Alaska, but swinging back into Kodiak Island, 35 to 50 knots there, 30 to 40 knots, all in the increase in the afternoon. Light for the Panhandle, 3,000 feet, same pattern here. Strong winds out offshore with the 50 knotters, but everything increasing as this whole center moves north, and they'll be pulling northwest. And for turbulence, Kodiak right under the gun tomorrow. Occasional moderate chop here, possibly going severe tomorrow evening. And then that whole mess will be sliding northward, so we'll probably be looking at a pretty bumpy Monday evening and night into Tuesday here for the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
Welcome back to another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm meteorologist Dave Snider, and joining me once again is Cindy Preller. She is the Tsunami Program Manager for the National Weather Service in Alaska region. Thanks for joining us again, Cindy.
Thank you, Dave.
We're talking about tsunami awareness and safety here in Alaska especially, and one of the things that has been one of your main focuses is the Tsunami Ready program. What is that, and how do Alaskans find out more?
Awesome. Yeah, Tsunami Ready is a National Weather Service hosted program in partnership with Storm Ready.
Okay.
And it is a program that we conduct with our partners in the state, but it's mostly community driven. So if a community wants to become Tsunami Ready, well, the first thing they need to do is get a hold of me or their local WCM at a weather forecast office or their tsunami team at the state level.
So, and this is something that's a NOAA grant, so there's money available to help encourage the preparedness at the local level there in the city or the village.
Yeah.
What are some of the places that have done this already?
Oh, our oldest Tsunami Ready city is Seward,
Good.
you know, but also Sitka, Homer, Valdez are the, you know, the main players, but we've got several Tsunami Ready communities that I'm very proud of. It takes several years to accomplish this. And so a few of the things that they do is the tsunami risk will be assessed by someone like me or another scientist will help find out, you know, really what their probability is. We'll create an inundation map, an evacuation map. They'll have a mitigation plan. We will set up some partnerships with the schools, make an evacuation shelter, and then they need to practice. But it is the city that owns the program, really. It's up to them. And many cities would like to have sirens, and so we help them get those, and, you know, and they practice. They have to practice.
Sure. So let's say I'm driving into a place like Seward that's tsunami ready. What are some of the things I should look for as maybe a visitor so I know maybe where I need to go or can be more aware of my tsunami risk?
Absolutely. The Tsunami Ready signage is really blatant. It's this, you know, blue and white curling wave sign, and there's different shapes of signs that'll show you if you are in the hazard zone or where the evacuation routes are and when you're out of shelter.
Okay. So this is a multi-step process that helps the residents be more aware of their own risk, but then also prepare for when that risk arrives.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, many communities sound their sirens daily, some sound them weekly, you know, to make sure everybody knows what they mean. And there's often drills. We have an annual drill once a year. We have Tsunami Awareness Preparedness Week, and that's a good time for each community to do some exercising.
Okay. And is this a program that is unique to Alaska?
Absolutely not. It's national.
Okay.
And all over the country, you'll have the same signage, so it's consistent.
Good. So if I'm taking the kids to California, I should be able to see something familiar.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And you know, some communities hesitate because they think it'll discourage tourism. And so I would like to tell those communities that what they're actually doing is they're encouraging responsibility.
Sure.
The tsunami's going to happen.
Right.
And it's going to hit every coastline. So, you know, it's not about when, it'll be any time. So the fact that they're showing tourists that they are making steps to be prepared for this, I think would encourage people to want to stay there.
Right. And that would be no different than, say, you or I visiting the Midwest, where we know there's going to be really bad thunderstorms and maybe there's a risk for tornadoes. We're aware of that risk when we go there.
Absolutely. If I see a sign for a tornado shelter, I'm going to remember that.
Right. Okay. All right. So we're just doing a better job of being more prepared with something that's bound to happen again.
I hope so.
Okay. Very good. Where can people go again to learn more about the Tsunami Ready program here in Alaska?
Well, one, there's a Tsunami Ready website. So, you know, just Tsunami Ready, and
Google
that'll
Tsunami
get you
Ready.
there.
Okay.
And then probably the best person for people to contact is their warning coordination meteorologist at their local weather forecast office, which is Anchorage or Juneau, most likely.
Okay. All right. So most of the folks along the Bering Sea coast, again, are not at a huge risk for tsunamis at this
No,
point.
they don't need to worry about it.
Okay,
Thank
very
you.
good. But always learning to be prepared no matter where you are in Alaska, no matter what the risk, always a good step. And tsunami is a major player in that, as we well know from events like 1964. Okay.
Alaskans are resilient. I really believe in them.
Very good, very good. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for joining us again, and please make an effort to learn more about the Tsunami Ready program in your village and town if you haven't already. We'll be back with Cindy again next time to talk more about the Tsunami Warning Center in Palmer, Alaska. We actually have a group of geologists working for the National Weather Service, so scratch your head on that one and we'll join you next time. See you next time on Alaska Weather Packs.
Welcome back. During the afternoon, winds will increase here along the coastline. Southeast 25 on the south coast, gales east 30 knots for the north coast seas, building 9 to 10 feet up here. Winds pretty light over the inside waters. Northerly, Lynn Canal on down through Stevens Passage, southeast at 10 for Clarence Strait with slight seas. And then for Tuesday, front pushes eastward here, so lose the gales up here on the north coast, but keep small craft advisories in. Seas higher, 10 to 15 feet with 25 to 30 knot winds. Winds not all that bad over the inside waters, north 15 now for Lynn Canal. Still light for Clarence, or for Stevens Passage, southeast 15 for Clarence Strait. And then for the North Gulf Coast, tomorrow winds coming up dramatically here. East 45 knots, northeast 45 knots, Barren Islands down the east side of Kodiak, coming up to about 30 knots for Shelikof Strait. Small craft advisories developing for Kachemak Bay into Cook Inlet south of the Forelands. Prince William Sound east at 20. And seas coming up 13 to 15 feet through here. Then going on to Tuesday's outlook, again that low center pulls west, but the winds stay pretty brisk, northeast 30 knots here for Shelikof Strait right into southern Cook Inlet. Now small craft advisories even north of the Forelands with seas up to 6 feet, and small craft advisories out for Prince William Sound, east 25 knots, still carrying some gales here for the eastern North Gulf Coast, Middleton Island zone, seas up to 17 feet. And for Bristol Bay, northeast 10, not too bad there, picking up to about 15 knots down the coastline. South side, 25 knots, turn 30 knots from Castle Cape to Sitkinak out of the northeast, increasing in the afternoon with 9-foot seas. And then small craft advisories on Tuesday with a low center coming back to the west there toward Kodiak. That'll tighten that gradient up here for Bristol Bay and the peninsula, north to northwest 25, and 30 knot winds out of the northwest now from Castle Cape to Sitkinak. And for the Fox Islands, northeast 10 to 15 knots. Getting a little squirrely here from Nikolsky westward, then turning south to southeast at only 15 for Adak and Atka. And then behind weak trough, southwest 15, back to the south. Not much going on Tuesday either, except the winds change direction. Pick up a little bit, 20 knot winds, 25 here north side Adak and Atka. North mostly at 20 knots with 6 to 7 foot seas for the eastern Aleutians. And for the southwest coast, northeast 15 knots, seas only 2 to 3 feet. Light winds for the Pribilofs, northeast 15 St. Matthew Island, 20 knots St. Lawrence Island. And then tighter gradient means stronger winds, and we've got small craft advisories now for there along the southwest coast. 30 knots, 8 to 9 foot seas. Small craft advisories up for the Pribilofs, northwest 20 St. Matthew Island. Winds coming down for St. Lawrence Island. And for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, east-northeast of 15, and then northeast 15 here. Everywhere else with seas running 4 to 5 feet. On the west side, central coast to demarcation point, just 3 feet. And Tuesday, northwest 15 here, and go with 5 foot seas there. Otherwise, north 15, 3 foot seas, northeast 15 and 4 foot seas. And then from Cape Beaufort on down to the Bering Strait, northeast of 20. Excuse me. And tonight, weak trough out through here, remnants of that front. Really not much going on, just clouds, a little bit of moisture. Showers along this trough up to the northeast, a little more enhanced up there toward the Koyukuk Valley and the Brooks Range. Cool temperatures, mostly rain and snow on up to the central Arctic coast. And then this big storm down here developing, that other one tracking eastward there. We'll swing underneath as this slowly pulls north and weaken into a trough, and high pressure drying it out over the southeast coast, but we got showers lingering along the North Gulf Coast of the Kenai Peninsula. And tomorrow, that big storm comes northward there, wind, rain on the increased Kodiak, across the Gulf of Alaska, eventually along the Panhandle, all lifting northward toward the North Gulf Coast. Trough keeps it showery inland, weak system out west pushing eastward, and a little bit of light rain or snow for the Brooks Range on out to the Arctic coast, nothing significant, and fair over the eastern Bering Sea. And then for Tuesday, that system, after bringing storms in tomorrow night, Monday night, that pulls back to Kodiak Island, and rain for the Alaska Peninsula, more wind out here in the west, and eventually tomorrow or Monday or Tuesday evening rain for the Pan.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.